going to be taking a look at a brand new air gun from a company called Air Max Arms, and this gun is called the Katran. I'm very excited about it, and I'll take you through all the features. This gun comes in 22 and 25 currently. I have a 25 version. It also comes in, I believe right now there are 2, but there's going to be 4 versions of the gun. If you look right here over my shoulder, there is the bottle version. There's a standard, which is a little shorter than this with the same bottle, and then there's a standard 480cc bottle. Then there's a standard barrel with a tube, and that's 200 cc's, I believe. Then there is this model, which is the long version. It's a 20.5-inch barrel with a 480 cc tube bottle, or it comes with a 280 tube. So you got 4 different versions right now within the 2 types. Then they also plan to have, and I think I've seen this on the on Facebook, a compact version as well as a high-powered version. So they are very I have to say they're very responsive. They are listening to their customers. Just to let you know, when I got this gun, it was coming to me with regulated. It is a regulated gun. It coming to me at 50 foot-pounds of energy. I had an issue. I wanted to adjust the regulator. It is internal. It is not externally adjustable. I contacted the company and they were responsive. They let me know that it's an internal regulator and really they only recommend adjusting it from the factory. Well, that wasn't enough for me. So we're going to take this gun apart and take a look at it, and I'll show you what I did. That doesn't mean you should do it. You might possibly be voiding your warranty. But this gun is modular. It is meant to be taken apart. You can swap barrels. You can swap the bottle for a tube, all in the same receiver, which is really great. This gun comes in at a price point of around $1250 with the tube. But with the bottle here, as you see it with the 450, it was $1,400. I did purchase this gun from Utah Air Guns, and I generally don't do plugs, but again, this is not a sponsored video. This is me. I purchased this gun with my own money, and I really just want to tell you about it. It's a great gun. So I was very pleased with my experience with Utah Air Guns. They got it out quickly, no nonsense, very well packed. I even had some questions, so I gave them a call thinking, oh boy, I hope I'm going to hear from somebody. And sure enough, somebody picked up the phone and I was able to talk to somebody about, I want to create a compact version. I wanted to buy the shorter barrel and the small 300cc bottle instead of the 480. And they did tell me that they do plan to have them eventually. They don't have them now. But it was good to be able to talk to somebody, and they were, they didn't try to rush me off the phone. So, good job, Utah Air Guns. Very happy. Another thing is I'm going to be topping this gun off with a, believe it or not, even though I have Athlon scopes that I really love, I have here a 4.5 to 27. This is from a company called AIM, and it's not that expensive. I paid $230 for this. I heard about this on Airgun Nation, and I picked up the scope. And sure enough, the glass on this scope is great for the $230 price point. So, wow, talk about not having buyer's remorse. Great scope. I'm also going to be topping the scope off with, I bought some Eagle Vision rings. This is a 30mm tube. And I got to tell you, I love these Eagle Vision. I hate the idea that you got to spend so much money for a ring, but in the air gun world, we really need adjustable rings. At least I do, because I shoot anywhere from 50 to 150 yards, and you really want to have that cant, and you want to do it well. And I tell you, there's the FX rings. They're okay too, but these Eagle Vision are awesome. They're very adjustable, and I want to let you know that Hajimoto from Hajimoto Productions is now selling these. He sells all Eagle Vision products, and it's really, he's a great guy. I recommend, please take a look at his website. Look at it. He's on Facebook. I know he's on Instagram, and he's always on YouTube. He's out there. He's always helping the airgun community. So if you're looking for anything Eagle Vision or Gauntlet, he's the Gauntlet Guru. I call him the Gauntlet Guru. He'll help you out, and please check out his website. And again, looking for Eagle Vision stuff, go to Haji. Again, go to another thing. I'm doing plugs. By the way, these are all non-sponsored plugs. Airgun Nation and Gateway to Airguns. If you're really looking to learn about airguns, get more information, purchasing things, go to Airgun Nation, go to Gateway to Airguns. There's a lot of smart people on there that'll help you out and guide you in the right direction. So back to the features of the gun. This gun comes with a really nice aluminum magazine. It's very robust. It's another great feature of this gun and the magazine is the double anti-feed system. So when you take, you have full of pellets and you load it up, you put one in. If you try to put a second, it will not rotate. It'll just hold until you fire. And by the way, it does come with a case. It's not bad. It's a pretty durable case. It comes with a brass fill probe, 2 extra O-rings, and a degassing tool. That goes right here. Down here, there's the hammer spring, and you degas it at the bottom here. So it comes it's a great skeleton, minimal gun. It's really, really light to handle. I mean, with one hand, we're holding this whole thing, and this is a gun that is definitely meant to be shot offhand. At least I'm going to be doing that. I'm always on the bench. I'm kind of lazy, but this feels so nice. The buttstock is adjustable. The butt pad here and the cheek riser up and down, back and forth, up and down. It is a folding stock. That is pretty damn cool. And it has a magnet. Check this out. Let's not hit anything, okay? Has a magnet that keeps it locked in place so it won't come down. Again, it is a side lever. You can decock it. And one thing I want to tell you about this gun. This gun has a very smooth side lever cocking, very easy and very smooth. And I attribute that to the fact that there are 2 levers in this gun. So in here, let's see, I'll hold it down here so maybe you can see it there. So in here, the hammer spring resides right down here. Then there's a lever that goes diagonal straight up here. And when you pull back the cocking arm, you're pulling back the hammer spring. So it's got 2 levers. One is the side lever, and the other is the cocking lever inside the mechanism here. So basically, when you're pulling back 2 arms, and you got 2 points of leverage, and that makes cocking even a very heavy hammer spring. Really, I have this set pretty tight because I did increase the regulator because I wanted more power, and thus I had to increase the hammer spring. And I'll tell you, even increased, it's sweet, really, really sweet. So now let's take a look at the trigger assembly. It's easy enough to take apart here. I got the camera, I have everything set up, so we'll do it quickly. And yeah, you can see it right there. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possible. Looks like this plate is underneath. I think you're seeing that there. This plate is underneath the safety, so let's start at the safety. Alright, so that's pretty easy. So this is the cocking assembly. It's just a plate, and as you can see in the camera here, if you want, that's to change over to the other side. Before I take this plate off here, there's 2 screws on top. Just take it out, pull out the whole assembly. This whole back piece comes off, and the cocking, see the cocking arm? You can see right through. See that? So it's this gun is so simple to put together. Now I'm going to try to take this plate off here. There we go. So this is very easy to come off. Okay. Comes up. So if you're having a problem taking the plate off because it's too tight, let's see, in this camera you can see I just wedged the screwdriver gently under here and then press on the opposite end, and you see what it does? It lifts up so the whole plate comes straight out. And that's really the trick to this, is getting the plate straight out. So now that I have the receiver open here, I wanted to show you the 2 levers. Now here's the first lever, which is on this other side, and here's that second level. Now here is where engagement is made with the second lever. There is the poppet. That's the hammer that strikes. Here is your hammer spring. Here is your first and second sear. So watch your sear as it engages, locks in place, and now you can go forward. As you press the trigger, it goes forward. Very, very nice mechanism. Very clean, very easy. So it's a very unique design where the hammer spring is way down here. Okay, the adjuster is in the back, and it's really it doesn't have that much force. You think about it, the hammer spring is so low on this fulcrum, this is the fulcrum point, that pulling it back, I mean, it can't have, you really need a strong hammer to make this thing go forward, but it works out very well and it's very consistent and precise. So anyway, I just wanted you to see that whole dual, you know, one arm comes out and it pulls back. So that's what's happening. So really nice. The trigger is it's a two-stage, very, very crisp. You know, the first, there's no slop, and I would say this is a match grade trigger. So one other thing I want to show you is how light the trigger came down. I don't have an electronic tester, but this is good enough. It'll give you a roundabout figure, and I'm going to tell you it is very, very light. Here we go. Okay. 1 pound. See that? Pretty nice. Very, very light. So I just figured out what the rail system right here, which is also on the bottom. You see these three right here? I thought it was M-LOK, so I had put and modified M-LOK to fit. Here's a Picatinny rail, but as you can see, it moves, and that's not good. So I figured it out, just did a search on Google for different type of M-LOK systems on tactical guns, and something came up called KeyMod. So that makes sense. This is called a KeyMod right here. So hopefully you see that. So anyway, I just ordered 3 different plastic rails on Amazon. They're really inexpensive. Same 15, 16 bucks as I paid for the M-LOK ones. Okay, so the Phalen KeyMod Picatinny rail kit comes in a nice little package here. And I did open it up. It's pretty cool. Comes padded with what looks like, 3 Torx. These are not Allen, these are Torx. A bunch of screws, looks like about 10 of those. And a 5, 7, and I don't know, 9, 10, 11, I don't know what that is. And they're all metal. Look at that, that's pretty nice. So this is KeyMod, comes with the screw and it will fit inside, so it's very, very low profile. It will slide in just as you see there. So let's attach it, let's get it on. All you do, you can do it upside down. I'm going to do it sideways so you can see it. Slide it in place. This is super easy. Hold it, push it forward. It does have the same on either side, so it doesn't matter which way you put it. One more time, that's really nice. And that's it. That is a solid connection. All right, now let's attach our bipod. And that is really solid. So shooting this offhand, you know, the bipod kind of doesn't work. I'm going to be using one of these grips, and you can get these on like eBay, or they're all over Amazon. They're like 10, 15 bucks. They screw down. I did put an extension. I don't have it screwed down really tight, so I'm going to be really careful about that. But what's really nice about this is it creates this great point, you know, to hold your gun. You have this nice point of contact. Rather, you know, if you like to rest it against your body, which I do, I would probably, you know, go for it either up or, you know, down. But this little feature here, this little handle, is awesome. And the gun is so light, my God, this is great. So by the way, as I was making this video, and I happened to go look on Facebook, check this out. They actually have a walnut version. Let me scroll around. Look at this. They have a laminated version in red. Let's see, what else? Look at that. That looks really nice. There it is in red. There it is in walnut. There you go. Looks good. So I tell you, they're really making a lot of strides to kind of be relevant in the airgun world. I love it. I mean, this just happened today as I'm filming. It does have a AR style. I don't know if I'd say style or if it's AR, but safety here. Nice and big, and it's manual. Another nice feature is where the magazine loads into the receiver. It's not high up, so it forces you to put high scope rings, and you know, because the magazine is getting in the way. No, it's down in the middle of the, look at this, it's in the middle of the receiver. So you have your Picatinny rail here unobstructed by the magazine, so you don't need, you could put the scope with nice low scope rings and keep that scope close to the barrel. So that's really, really nice. Again, pops out really easy. It's held in place with a ball bearing, you know, a recessed ball bearing. So going forward, it does have a regulator right in here, and the whole power plant comes out. There are 2 or 3 screws here, grub screws, and it allows you to pull out the regulator and the bottle all at once. And when that's removed from the gun is basically inactive. This is where all the power resides, right in here. Again, the barrel is choked. It does have a fluted shroud, and the shroud is really not too thick. It's just right. It does have a moderator on the tip. There are 3 sections, which is really nice. They do all come apart. Here, let's see. Oh, you can't see it here. Let me. So here you go. Actually, I'll show you some pictures. And then it is threaded for half UNF. So all these sections come apart, even the section here. And the barrel comes to right about here, right at the beginning, there, right at the beginning of the first baffle. So the air can go back down the shroud. Another really important feature, a great feature of this gun is, as I mentioned, it's meant to be handled. It's very lightweight. This comes in at 6 pounds, 6 ounces, without a scope and without a bipod. So it comes in at about 800 millimeters from tip to tip, you know, end to tip. It's small, it's nice. Really, really just, again, very robust. Now, let me just tell you, I'm talking to you about the good. Let me just tell you the bad. And the bad is not that bad. The first thing, which is kind of a mechanical thing, is there's a little bit of slop or play here in the where the connection is for the button. Now, it's not enough, it's not really annoying, but hear that? That's this right here. But my fix for that is to take a piece of plastic, wedge it in there. Now, be careful, and that's better. So I have a little tab. I'm going to shorten that up. Here, let's see if you can see that. See that little piece of tab right there? That kind of, I'm just wedging something in there so that it remove. Yeah, it's much better. So you get rid of that space and it doesn't move that much. If you're going to stick something in there, be careful. Make sure you can pull it out, because if you can't, you won't be able to press the button to open it up. Do not just wedge something in there. You may lock it forever or have a hard time opening it. If you wedge something in there, make sure you have the ability. I'm using a very, very thin piece of plastic sheet, and it works well. The other item is the regulator. It's a great regulator. Oh my goodness, the shot strings coming out of this gun. There's, I mean, the variance was like, the most was like 8 or 9 feet per second. Even after I raised the regulator from 140 bar, that's how it came to me stock, to 170 bar. When you raise the regulator, you're putting a lot more pressure on the Belleville washers and a lot more stress. So I was afraid, you know, if you go up that high, you're going to start to create some big variances. So far, for the week that I've had this gun, I shoot it every day. Nothing, it's flat. The string is still holding very well. Again, wonderful. That being said, when I did contact Air Max Arms and asked them, you know, I contacted them through their Facebook email, and I did get a response right away from Constantine. Thank you very much for responding, and they are responsive. But he did say that there's really the only way to adjust the regulators from the factory. I was disappointed, but you know, as air gunners, we're tinkerers, most of us, and I am, so I just couldn't leave that alone. I'm not suggesting you do this, but I did take the gun apart. I did get to the regulator, and I was able to increase it. I did a full turn, almost a full turn on the stopping screw, and that increased the rate. Now I'm going to take this gun apart today, and we'll go over it, and then I will go out to the range and give this a shooting. Now I do want to shoot slugs out of this gun. I know it shoots pellets very well. I'm wondering if it's going to be able to shoot slugs. Now it is choked at the last 1.5 inches or so. and that's not the ideal situation. So what I did was to take a 257 slug, and I kind of rammed it down, pushed it down all the way through, and I came out with a, I slugged my barrel basically, and then I used my micrometer, and I came up with, at the group, remember you have to do it, you have to keep rotating it to get at the highest point, and it came out at 2513. That is a good thing because I have 2513 slugs. So I'm going to try that out at the range. Let's see what we get. But for now, let's get into taking the gun apart and adjusting the regulator. Again, I'm doing it. I'm not saying or suggesting you should do it. All right, so let's take apart the gun. I'm going to take out my mat here. Put this down. First thing we're going to do is degas the gun. By the way, there's a little compartment inside the gun here. If you slide this back, see that? You can put, I don't know, something in there, fishing line, pellets, I don't know, whatever you want to put in there. Survival stuff. It's like the Rambo knives. Remember the Rambo knives? The handle came out, you had fishing line, some hooks in there. Hey, it's a survival gun. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is take a 5mm Allen wrench there, and we're going to remove the handle. Maybe someday I'll get a good set of tools instead of using these like any kind of grip you want. One really nice feature about the grip, it does have a thumb rest as well. So once you have the grip removed, what you're going to do is back off this screw here that's holding the hammer screw in tension. See that up here? Hopefully you're seeing that there. Just back it out. You don't have to take it out all the way. Then back out the hammer spring. Here it is. Hopefully, you're seeing that. Comes out. Then the spring itself will fall out. There's that. It's a very small hammer spring. There you go. Hopefully you're seeing that. Put that aside. Take your degassing tool. Put that in there. Just be careful not to cross thread, be gentle. All right. Oh, there's a pin in there. Remember, that goes inside, in between the, oh, that was weird. So there's a pin. So there's a guide pin that goes between the spring, the hammer spring. So there's a pin inside here. You see that pin? You got to get the pin to go inside of this hole here. So hold the gun straight up and down. There we go. And you'll know you got it because it keeps turning. All right, so now that I've got it and it's turning, by the way, remember, make sure you dry fire the gun. Make sure there are no pellets or slugs in the barrel. And even when you're degassing, because air is going to come rushing out, point it in a safe direction. There we go. Start turning slowly. It's going to be really loud. It's going to come rushing out all at once. See the gauge right here? All right. So let that air, don't do anything until all the air is out. So remember to put all your parts in a safe place. Generally what I'll do is I'll use a bucket, keep everything in there. At least you know everything's in there, can't get lost. Back out the degassing tool. So now what we'll do is we'll put the hammer spring back in. Don't tighten it too much because what we're going to do is we're going to, just to make sure you don't want to put a lot of tension on a valve, poppet that doesn't have any pressure behind it. So just a little bit. And what we're going to do is point it in a safe direction, cock it, fire it, make sure. Okay, so I think the first thing I'll do now that we've degassed the gun, remove the handle, I'm going to take off the barrel first, and then we'll take off the power plant. Okay, real simple. I mean, the whole shroud comes off. Very, very easy. There is no spacer in there, nothing, because the spacer is in the front here. It's in the first baffle. All right, let's take off the barrel now. There are 2 retaining screws. Back them out. Not all the way, but a good amount. This is so simple. You know how some like my hat's on. I remember you pull them and they won't, even the Nova Liberty, they won't. This is so simple. It has 2 flat points for the grub screws. Here's the barrel crowned, so you can take a look at it. All right, so this is the 20.5 inch 12 groove. I would imagine it's a check barrel. The transfer port is a bit oval in shape. Now look at that hole. It's not exactly round, it's a bit oval. That's interesting. So earlier today, before making this video, I spoke to Haji, and he was kind of helping me out with the idea of working out the transfer port. I was thinking about opening it up to get more power. I'm not doing any alterations to this gun yet. Right now, just adjusting the regulator and nothing else. But if you're interested, take a look at Haji's Facebook page. He has an article from October 5th of 2019 that talks about stacked velocity and polishing the transfer ports and the transitions. It's a really cool article. You'll gain a lot if you're really interested in that. You know, I think Haji's an engineer, if I'm not mistaken. So he understands the science behind this. I kind of just go by what I think in my head. You know, like, oh, it should be really smooth and, you know, it should be perfectly in a U shape. That's the way you get the most efficiency. But he kind of explained how that is kind of true, but you want it to be smooth and you want it to be funnel-like. You do want it to be wide, and then as it makes the turn, you know, up, you want it to tighten up and constrain a little, because you get to get that pellet moving really fast from, you know, from standstill. You need a lot of force, not so much a lot of volume. But for now, let's get back to taking apart the gun. So there's the barrel. We'll put that aside. Stay. Okay. So there we are without the barrel. I am not going to take it. Let's take apart now the power plant. So we have, I believe, a 2.5 or 3 millimeter screw here. Now, when you get to it, I've loosened this earlier. So when you get to it, you might have to crank on it. So there's your first screw, okay? There is another screw underneath. Let me turn it towards you. So this was the first screw. There is another grub screw down there, so don't try to pull it out without taking out that So there's a screw on top, and then there's a grub screw. Plus there's another hole right next to it. And let's work on that one. Let's take, I believe that's the same. Yep. Back that out. So there are 2 screws holding it. You don't have to back it. Okay, so there is a 1 millimeter screw down there. Yep, there it is. Back that out. Ah, there we go. I just felt the bottle fall. So you have 3 screws in 2 holes, okay? Well, there you go. It just released. I don't know if you saw that. It just kind of popped out. And here we go. Here is the power plant, okay, that you're seeing. This is everything. We have the bottle, the plenum, and this is the valve system. Here's the valve hole, okay? Here's the poppet. We know there's no air in here. We're safe. And what we're going to do now is let's first, I'm just going to, yeah, there we go, comes off. And we're going to remove the bottle. There's an O-ring in there, be careful. All right. And I'm going to keep that upside down. We don't want any dirt or dust or anything to get in there. The regulator is right about here, just after this gauge. So this is all plenum here. So let's see. One thing I'm going to tell you, take note of, let me show you here. Okay, take note of this, because when you put it back, you want to make sure you put it back the same way. You'll notice I have 2 rings here, 2 grooves. There's a set screw, set hole here, and then there is the fill port. Make sure you remember to keep these lined up with 2 sets of grooves showing. Okay, that's really, really important. So to reiterate, your grub screw settings, 2 threads, and this. So when you screw it back together, remember we're going to screw these apart. You want to put them back exactly the same and unscrew slowly. Yeah, they come off by hand. There's no Loctite. Go very slow. Let's see. Hopefully you're seeing that. See that? We got 3 threads showing, 4 threads. I'm going slow so you can see. Again, I'm rotating. I'm holding this part. There is your regulator. Okay. That's the regulator. This is, so this side, the regulator sits, so it sits inside there like this, okay? I'm gonna put this down, whoop, okay, I'm gonna put this down. It sits in there like this. So this is your plenum is inside of here. This is the unregulated air, and this is your plenum. So you can take this, put this aside, and now you have your regulator. Now you don't need to adjust your regulator. You don't need to take your regulator off of your plenum. Remember, you have your valve poppet here. So what I'm going to do it just to show you. So you can grab it by hand. Make sure your hands are clean. Turn there, and there's your vent hole right here. This is your vent to atmosphere. You know, so that the regulator gets a chance every time you shoot. It gets a chance to reset itself. I'm going to pull it gently and slowly. Now, as you're handling the regulator and the plenum with the valve, be very careful not to turn the brass screw here at the top. Now, the amount of space you have is very important. The height, how much, that makes a difference. That as you back that brass screw right here, as you back it out, what's happening is you're creating higher pressure because the spring has to go further, and that means there has to be more pressure in the plenum area to stop off the high pressure air on this side. So you have high pressure air. You may have 4,500 pounds on, or 4,300 because it's 300 bar. You might have 300 bar on this side, but you might only have 150 bar inside of here. So you want to make sure that, you know, this regulator screw here regulates how much pressure is going to be on the plenum side. As you back it out, you get more pressure. As you push it in, the spring doesn't have to go as far. Less pressure will stop. There's basically a stopper in there. Air is going through this brass spring in here. There's a hole in there, I believe. And what's happening is as the air pressure builds in the plenum area, it stops off the air and cut. So if the spring doesn't have to go that far, it shuts off at a lower pressure. If it has to go much farther, it takes longer until it builds up to a higher pressure to shut off the air. That's basically how it works. So now remember, do not turn this screw. Let's leave that alone. So what I'm going to do is we're going to open this up. I want to show you what is inside here, which is not rocket science. I'm going to grab it with a, there we go. Okay. Here we go. Let's pull it. Well, okay. So you don't have to worry about the valve is, the poppet is attached with a spring to the bottom of the regulator. Here, let me show you. To the bottom of the regulator, okay? You should see that there, all right? And inside here are the Belleville washers. And it looks like it's an all Delrin type of poppet. There's no metal there. And it's just attached to a long spring. And up here is your adjuster for your regulator. Now, what I did was, mine is already backed out. When it came to me, it was set at 140 bar. I now have it set at 170 bar. I like it where it is. So you can just take a 4mm Allen key, stick it in there, okay? Remember how, you know, where it is. Okay, I'm gonna hold it like this. So you can remember now it's pointing down. I did one full turn counterclockwise to increase the pressure. Clockwise will decrease the pressure. Now I'm set at 170 bar right now, so I'm not going to go any further. I might even actually turn it in. I'm not even going to turn it. So again, clockwise, and it's not really tight. It's really easy. Yeah, there we go. Clockwise to lower, counterclockwise to increase. So I'm going to leave it alone. I like it at 170 bar. I suggest you don't turn, if you're going to do this, remember, this could void your warranty. So I'm not recommending you do this if you don't have the stomach for it. If you're going to do this, small increments. I found that one full turn equals about 30 bar. So a half turn should be about 15 bar. That has been my experience. I hope that will be right for you. I say take it slow, only do a half a turn. Don't do more than that. Because remember, you don't want to go so far because you could damage, you know, your regulator by allowing too much pressure on one side to really press down on those Belleville washers and deform them. So I am cleaning the inside, and I'm going to add a little silicone. Now we're going to put it back together. Let's see if we can get it lined up. There we go. All right. Again, I'm going to take a look down there. I'm going to give it a little cleaning. Okay. I'm going to clean this O-ring. Little silicone grease, just a tad. Remember, you don't need to use a lot. And now we're going to set this back in place. Screwing in nice and slow, don't burn the O-ring. To the point where I see 2. And remember, we want to line up. So now we want to line up the fill probe with the indent for the grub screw. Okay? And there's an order of operation here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put everything back together. We're going to put the bottle on. Let's keep it upside down here. Clean off the O-ring. Going to put it again just a tiny bit of silicone grease on there. Not too much. Let's clean that off. Okay. We're going to screw the bottle in. Be very, don't cross thread. Be very gentle. Don't burn it all at once. You don't want to burn the O-ring. Okay. And we are pretty much, now you could now fill up this power plant with air, but I don't recommend you do that because remember, we want to make sure this is lined up really well because you have to put it back in the gun and the gauge has to be in the right spot. So, all right, let's start putting it in nice and slow. Okay. Now that you notice as you push it in place, it wants to back because that's the valve, the poppet pushing back against the hammer. I mean, you could, cock it back and it'll stay in place. Now you can keep it in place. And what you want to do is you want to back out the grub screw that's underneath the regular screw all the way, okay? Because what we're going to do is we're going to shine a light down and we want to see, you want to be able to see the indent that this grub screw goes into through the hole. And once you know that you can see it clearly, use a flashlight and it's in a good spot, and you know that the fill probe fits. And here's what I suggest. Take the fill probe, put it in, make sure it fits, and make sure it's aligned perfectly. Now look down. Okay, now what we can do with the fill probe in place, we can, pushing forward, we could put the grub screw back in. Remember, there's a screw on top of this grub screw. And let's make sure that's nice and tight. Now what I'm going to do is, this is the second screw. Okay, there you go. Let's see, you can see it. Here's the second screw. Going to put that in place right there. Okay. Grub screw down in this hole here. Let's go to that one. Let's tighten that one. Remember, the fill probe is making sure everything's in the right place. Okay. Tighten down. Okay, not too tight. Remove the fill probe. Decock the gun. Okay, everything is in place. And what we'll do now is we'll put the barrel back and then we'll fill up the gun. So now when you refill, you got to remember the hammer is pushing against the valve. If you try to fill it up, it won't take. It'll just leak out. So you want to cock the hammer back. Just put your fill probe in. Okay. Everything's in the right place. The grub screws are down. And fill, at first you may have to, again, you can't do this with a hand pump. At least I've not had success with it. So you're going to want to start filling gentle. See? That's it. I forced a lot of air in. And we're good. Now here, let me show you. I'm going to take the gauge here. So I'll let you see what we got. There we go. So now it's starting to take. All right. Remember, I like to fill really slow. Okay. We'll dig the air out. Now remember, you've just reset the regulator, so it might take a little time before the regulator settles in. Decock the gun. And now, again, generally what I do is I let the gun sit for a little bit. I'll take a few shots, sit for a little. So by tomorrow, the regulator should set in place. So that's pretty much how to adjust the regulator on this gun. So given that I've gotten this gun up to 70 foot-pounds of energy, I know I said 66 to start with, but as I let the gun sit and I actually lowered the reg pressure from when I did it with you guys on here, if you notice, I turned it clockwise a little bit, and that reduces the the amount of pressure on the low side in the plenum. That took it down from 170 bar to about 165 bar. So believe it or not, it ended up becoming more efficient lowering it just a little bit. And so now this gun is at 70 foot-pounds, and that's perfect because I want to shoot slugs. And sometimes you have to shoot some pretty heavy slugs. Now, the thing you want to do if you really want to shoot slugs, you really need to slug your barrel. Slugging the barrel just means taking a slug that's slightly larger. Like here in my hand, I have a 257. I know this gun is not 257. I've shot 2513 out of it, and they were okay. 254, I didn't want to take a chance because I don't know if this is a smaller. So we're going to find out right now what is the groove diameter. That is the important key. Not the bore diameter, but the groove diameter. Because you don't want air to get around the slug, through the grooves, and in front of your slug. And then when it leaves the muzzle end, there's all this turbulence, and that creates destabilization, okay? So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to take the barrel out of this gun. I'm going to take a 257 slug. We're going to push it through from the muzzle end through to the breech end, and then we're going to micrometer. I have a fairly accurate micrometer that's NIST, which is National Institute of Standards and and measurements. Anyway, it's certified that it's accurate within a certain amount, 10,000th or even 100, no, I think it's 10,000th of an inch. So with that, I'm fairly confident that we're going to get a good measurement. And the important thing is when you're using a micrometer and you're miking something, you have to make sure everything is at the same temperature, humidity, because if you take a cold piece of metal or a hot, different temp, if the micrometer has been sitting in the heat, it's going to give you a incorrect measurement. So you want to make sure that the metal you're testing or whatever it is you're measuring is exactly the same temperature. So all this stuff, all these slugs have been sitting here since yesterday waiting to do this slugging, so I know I'm going to get a good measurement. Let's start doing that process now. I'm going to bring the camera up so you guys can see me a little better. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take this from the muzzle end, okay, not the side where you put it on the breech. Turn it muzzle up. I'm going to take my slug here. This is a 257 slug. What we're going to do is we're going to take it, put it in nose first. Okay, take a look at that so you see it. And with either a plastic or rubber, do not use metal. Some people say they use, softer metals, aluminum, brass. I don't recommend it. Even if with a brass or aluminum, if you hit it hard enough, you will damage either your crown or your rifling. You don't want to do that. So I'm just using a rubber mallet. This is a mechanics mallet. I started to press it in, and you can see it's getting stuck. And that's what you want. You don't want it to go all the way through. So now let's try to bang it through. Okay, check that out. So I've kind of squashed it in there. I'm holding it off the table because it's making a lot of noise. I have enough force. Okay, here we go. It's going in, you see that? Okay, a little bit more. I think that's good enough. Now what I'm going to use is, believe it or not, a piece of pine wood. This is just under 1/4 inch. And see, even if I miss it, it's not perfectly centered, wood is never going to damage the crown or any of the rifling. But we're going to try to be careful. And now we're going to hit it through. There we go. Now if you see, I've just passed it through. There you go. And you can see a little piece of aluminum, a little piece of the slug. And because this is a choked barrel, this is the tightest part. Once you get it past here, now I take the rest of this. By the way, this dowel, all this is a piece of pine, the marshmallow roasting that you get like at the Christmas tree shop. That's all this is. Now we're going to push it all the way through. It's very easy. There's no resistance. Okay, and there it is. We now have a slug to mic. So I did it twice. I have 2 slugs here. This is the one I just did and the one I did a few days ago that told me what the size was. I'm going to turn on my mic, my micrometer, and I'm going to gently roll it. I'm going to close it. You're seeing that, right? Yeah. I'm going to close it using the faster spindle. And then this is a ratcheting. You want to give it one click on the ratchet. Now we're zeroing it out. Let's zero it out. And you can see this goes to the 10,000th, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10,000th of an inch. So now we can back it out, gentle. Again, I never want to move it fast or heat it up or vibration. Anything like that will change your measurement. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to let gravity hold it. I'm going to put it in place, close it down, just below the back of the slug. You don't want to touch the back of the slug because it might be a little larger. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to close it down. And we're going to stop right there. Okay. Now, this is giving me a reading of 2510. So right now, even before anything, I know that the bore diameter is at least 2510. What's the groove diameter? That's usually deeper because remember, the lead squished out into the grooves. So we're going to keep rotating it until we get a larger reading. If we can get, maybe I hit the largest point. Let's see. Nope, 24678. Okay, let's rotate it again. Here we go. 25125, almost 2513. Interesting, huh? Let's keep going. I'm going to keep rotating. See if I can get it bigger. I'm feeling resistance. Okay, 25045. So 2505. No. 25145. So now I'm going to tell you, I have another slug here that I did, and it came out to 2514. So I'm going to keep rotating it a few more times. See if I can get it any bigger. See, what's happening is, as you measure the groove, you turn it a little bit, and it gets into the bore. Turn it a little more, then it goes back out to the groove. So we're trying to turn it just a bit, just to make it large. Here we go. Okay. 2503. No, a little bigger. Let's see. And again, I'm trying to keep gravity is whole. I'm very gentle on squishing it. 2501. Oh. 2501. Here we go. I feel a big part here. Here we go. 25165. So that is the largest I'm coming up with. And I know because I've done this. I've spent 15 minutes trying to spin it constantly. So that's the first, that was the slug I just did. Let's go to the slug I did yesterday. That's the one, oh, my hands are filthy. But see this one here? This is the one I did yesterday. And by the way, I'm being very gentle not to drop it, because, you know, dropping it or squishing it could change. And you want to be very gentle. See, if you notice, I'm not ratcheting down. Just closing it so that gravity holds it in place. Let's pull it off. So 2516. All right, so as you just saw, it looks like the largest is 2516, 2517. That's the groove diameter. So what's great about that, I mean, it's not perfect, but this is the best I can come up with. As AVS slugs, I have 2513, and I made those because I knew that there is a groove diameter out there. There's some barrels that are 251 exact, so I went 2513. I'm always like trying to go a little larger. Is 2513 going to be perfect for a 2516? No, but it's as close as I can get, and we'll take it out to the range. We'll take some shots using the 251, 2503, 2513. I'm not going to go with 254 because they're just going to be too big, and you'll see some results at the range. Hopefully the 2513 will be pretty good out to 100 yards. So another thing I learned about slugs fitting the barrel well, and we're talking about the groove diameter, not the bore diameter, there's this misconception that a smaller slug will travel faster in a barrel. Like, so if your barrel is groove diameter 2516, as we see the Air Max Arms is. If you use a 250, I have 2503 and 2513. And what I'm going to show you is that 2503 does not travel faster than 2513 because it fits better and doesn't allow air to get around the pellet and losing thus velocity and stability. So right here we're gonna weigh. I have 5 2513s and 5 2503s, and you can see they're different because the meat plats are different. The meat plat is the hollow point in the front. So I'm going to take each one, put them on 3604 2, just to show that they're the 3606, 3604, 3606, 3608. So you can see the 2513s are 3606 roughly. 3606, 3604, 3606, 36, and 3606. So we'll leave that last one to the side, but you could see that these are essentially the same exact weight. I'm going to load them in right here in front of you. Let's see, oh, you're seeing this here. I'll load them here. So I'm going to move this out of the way. And by the way, loading them, it's weird. This magazine, you have to, there's a shelf and you have to rotate it a little bit. So I'm going to start with the 2513. Put one 2513, see if you don't put it perfect. Then I'm going to put a 250, followed by a 251. I'm going to alternate them. Okay, and I think, you know what, since that one is a little bit off, we'll discard those two, even though we'll put them there. So what do I have going on here? We're going to start with 250. See, the shinier ones are the 25, and you can see by the tiny meat plat, that is the 250, 251, 250, 251, 250, 251, 250. So we're going to shoot 1, 2, 3, 4 of each. I'm going to take some dry fire shots. We're going to shoot them through over the cranny right now, and I want to show you that the 251 shoot faster than the 250. So I have that magazine we just loaded with the different, you know, 250, 251. All right, and what we're going to do is I'm going to dry fire, one dry fire, maybe two. One. I'm going to wait a second. Okay, I did that just to set the regulator. Starting with 250. And we'll be alternating, putting it in. Okay, that loaded too easy anyway, you can tell. So here we go, right over the middle. 896 for the 251. 899.7. That's the 250. 898, okay. 897. 900 for the 251. Uh-oh. 900 for the, and this is the last one. This is the 251. 903. So let me just make sure we're empty. Yep. Nothing left in there. That wasn't as conclusive as I've done this before. Okay, this wasn't going to be a surprise. I actually had more dramatic, like 6 or 7 feet per second. But you could see on the last one, I guess the regulator didn't kind of, you know, fit in yet. But you could see that there's basically no difference between shooting 250 and 251. So the larger slug actually fits better and will stabilize better, and you don't lose anything. You actually gain speed. As you can see on the last two, you got a little bit of an increase. I bet if we kept shooting, you'd see that increase, because I actually had gotten more like 5 and 6 feet per second more with the 251 than the 250. So I just wanted to prove that point. It didn't come out exactly perfect. Look at that. Over an inch, 1.2. This was a 36 grain, this was a 35 grain. These are both in 251. I did try 2503. Nah, they were all over the place. It's kind of like, look at this. That was from before. I was trying earlier in the day. All these holes you see here and underneath here, 250 was like all over the place. So we're going to just shoot these 4 down. I'm going to go to 100. We're going to shoot these 4 down here. We'll do 35 and 36 grain. All right. Okay, we're going to do the bottom. Put you back further. Here we go. All right. Fantastic. Okay. Wow. Wow. Ooh. Now you see what the wind did there? There we go. Woo. Wow, there goes the wind. Whew. All right, that's quite apparent that this gun absolutely loves. I wasn't even really concentrating, I was just kind of firing them off. It loves the JSB 34 heavies out to 100 yards. I mean, with some concentration, it's subbing away for sure. All right, so final thoughts at 100 yards. This is the JSBs. This is wind, obviously. The wind, you know, I'm aiming. You could see in the GoPro, I'm aiming right there, and I had it a little high. But most of them gathered here. But whenever there was some wind, it would push them off. But I think it's very apparent, very clear that the gun loves the JSB 33.95. I think those are the King Heavy. No problem. As far as slugs go, this is very promising. 36 grain, 2513. 35, not so much. At 75 yards, very tight, somewhere around just over an inch. And at 100 yards, the wind left to right, but very, you know, less than an inch up and down, about 2 inches left and right, and that's wind. I mean, now it's calmed down, but you saw this board kind of shaking in the wind. But to conclude, we know this gun loves the JSB King Heavy. Those are the 33.9 pellets. It could have shot much better. This is just wind. This was all affected by wind. Without wind, I'm very confident it'll shoot, you know, 1 inch at 100 yards. I'm confident that gun is very capable. It is a choked barrel. Slugs, on the other hand, here's 35 grain 2513, 36 grain 2513, 75 yards, and this was 100 yards. The 36 grain 2513. Very promising. I would say almost equal in group. I bet they could be tighter depending on the wind. Again, I'm assuming this is me canting the gun and wind. So for the first time out, this is very promising. I'm going to try, I had some good success with 36 grain dish base 2513. So today I'm going to try some 37 grain and some more 35 grain. 35s are terrible. 37s, I don't know, not so good. I think we're going to go back to the 36. On another note, 2503, forget it. It was horrible all over. I didn't even record it. It was so terrible. So this gun, when I slugged it at 2513. It is choked. It's probably a little thicker. It's probably more like 253 or 254 down here. But I don't want to pass my 254 slugs through it, because when you go down to that choke, that's 3/1000ths of an inch or near about. And that's very tight, I'm afraid. So I might try them, but I think I'm just going to stick with the 2513 today, see if I can get some really good groupings out to 100 yards. Let's get to it. 36 grain, 2513 dish base. Wow. Okay. Okay. Wow. Ooh, I don't know what happened there. I canted the gun a little bit. Okay. All right, so that group you just saw with the 36 dish base 2513 was not the best, but I'm off the regulator. I'm at 160 on the 160 bar. The regulator is set at 165, so it's still pretty tight. We're gonna refill and try again. 2513, 36 grain, out to 100 yards. GoPro, start recording. Good. All right, here we go. Left, second one down. Gotta wait for that breeze to stop before I start. Ooh, I don't know what happened. Wow, two in the same hole. Wow, this gun is effortless. Oh, okay. That was pretty good. I think what we're gonna do, I think we found the slug. So from those two groups with the 2513, 36 grain, sorry I can't talk, it's so cold, I think it's 39 today. As you can see from the two groups I just did with the 2513 36 grain dish base, better than the cut base out of this particular gun, out of the Catran. It looks really good. So let's go down, take a look, and add some more targets, and then we'll try again. I'm warming up, so I'm getting better. All right, just some testing. This was the Cup 37 Cup. No good. 37 Cup 2513. Look at the dish. This is up and down. You know, it's cold out here. I'm not sure if that's the regulator, but it's, you know, not even an inch wide, but up and down. This one, it's not bad. It's pretty tight. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, here's 10 shots. It's about 1 3/4 inches. These are not bad. We're gonna go down here. We're gonna shoot down here. even though I'll use these as test. You know, camera can only zoom into 2. Yards, 2513, 36 grain dish. Come on. And let's go to the right. All right, let's try that again. Okay, here we go. That first shot was a little low and to the right, so we made some adjustment. And try it again. All right, 100 yards, 2513, 36 grain, dish base. Okay, a little high. Wow, okay. All right, so that's pretty evident that the 2513 36 grain dish base is the slug to shoot out of this gun. I don't really know what happened. So what we'll do is, I think I've confirmed that the 36 grain are shooting well in the AVS Slugs 2513. Just to prove a point, I'm going to shoot the 250s. I think here, because I'm afraid I'm going to shoot my camera, because they're going to be like a big pattern, probably like this, maybe bigger. So I'm going to try my 2503s. Okay, so now I want to show the difference between 2513 and 2503. Here we go, 100 yards, same 36 grain dish base. Top right. No wind. Whew. Huh. Well, there you go. There you have it. That's the difference between 250 and 251, or 2503, 2513. So 1,000th of an inch makes a difference. All right, let's go down and take a look. So this is the difference between 2503 and 2513, 1,000th of an inch. here's your 251, and here's your 250. I mean, I've done this a bunch of times already, and it always looks like this. I have not gotten a tight group with the cup or the dish 2503. Nothing. Can't get them. But 2513 dish base was very good. Cup, not so much. So it's interesting how the base makes a difference. Maybe at some point I'll try flat, but flat, forget hollow. Hollow isn't good for high power. At least that's what I've found. But the flat might do even better. I don't know. But at this point, not the JSBs, not the Mark II, terrible. These were the regular JSBs were better. It's not, and you know what? It's not that windy today. It's, you know, it should have performed. This should have been tighter, and I was shooting well today. So, it's a little disappointing about the pellets, but I'm very happy about the slugs. So, again, I hope this helps. So I just want to go over very briefly and quickly. The first day at the range, this was 75 yards. The 36 grain at 75 yards, we're doing 1.4, 1.6, about 1.5 inches. It's not superb, but it's okay. It's pretty good. Out to 100 on the first day, 100 yards, the 36 grain, we're doing 2.07. The pellets, the JSB pellets, now I was shooting them fast. I was shooting them 936. I just did a test. I'm shooting the slugs 900 feet per second, and I'm shooting the JSB King Heavy. These were the Mark I, I believe. Not the Mark II. The Mark II were horrible. I'll show you on day 2. Here's a group at 100 yards, 1.97 excluding these two here. And again, I'm not a great shot. So if this is a group of about 1.9, it could be even better. I'm sure people who are better than me can shoot this way. So it loves pellets. As I showed, it loves the 36 grain, not the 35 grain. That's a mess. Or the 34, or even the 37. I tried so many different. That's on day 2. So that was day 1. So on day 2, these three, everything here is 100 yards. So these are 36 grains, and they're coming in at 1.86, excluding that, 1.27, and this is a test, this is nothing, 1.7. So they were actually pretty good at 100 yards a second day. Now, as far as pellets go, here were the Mark II. I was shooting them fast too. I was shooting them about 936 feet per second, roughly around there. Look at this, the grouping was terrible. Here is the Mark I shooting faster than day 1. It did open up to 2.5. So you do have to shoot the pellets somewhere around 880 to 900 feet per second. At least in this gun, it's a choke, I guess, because it's, I don't really know why, but this is what happened. Now up here, you're seeing, well, you can't see my finger. Up here, this is the 2503 at 100 yards. So you can clearly see that look how they group. Look how well the 2513 grouped. These are the 36 once I found the right length. Again, it's not so much the weight, it's the length. It happens that the 36 grain is the right length in dish base. So here we go.